Stop talking about comic books or I'll kill you. I don't care if the Hulk could defeat the Man of Steel.
Hey there, comic fam. Bullseye Bob here, and welcome to Everything Comics. And this is the 41st episode of Having Comics with My Coffee. This is the show where I get together here with you in the Bob Cave, have some great coffee, and we talk about the comics that I picked up this week. And I'm talking about the ones we picked up on New Comic Book Day, which was on October 14th. And a lot of great comics this week. Can't wait to get into it. But as you can see, I'm coming to you live and in living color from the Bob Cave, not the Refuge. But let's talk about that. The Refuge is the official coffee house of Everything Comics. It's one of my favorite places to go to. It's where I used to film the show, but now I film right here inside of the Bob Cave, and that's okay. But they still provide great coffee for us. Today I'm having an amazing cold brew with a little bit of cinnamon inside of it and sugar-free vanilla sweetener, and it's really good. All right. So I don't have very much in the way of announcements today, but I will say that if you want to skip the few announcements that I have, there'll be a timestamp that's up on the screen right now, and you can go ahead and move forward and go straight to the reviews if you so choose to do so. Here is our only announcement. As you guys know, I'm on another show. I am on the Comics with Bueller channel every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, on the brand new Coffee and Comic Show. That's right. Who would have thought another show from Portland dealing with coffee and comics? It's what we do out here. But I get together with my good buddy Bueller, and we talk about some of the hottest topics in comic books today. It's a fun time. You don't want to miss it. And usually week over week, we have a pretty amazing topic. What he does is every week he has a preview video that he drops every Wednesday on New Comic Book Day, which previews the following week's comics. If you haven't checked it out, you should. It'll give you everything you need to know as far as the comics that you need on your pull list. Maybe you don't have on your pull list, but you don't miss a thing. He has everything on it. And on that video, he usually asks a question, and we use your comments when you answer that question to drive our conversation. This week, we actually don't have a topic. We were supposed to have a special guest that was going to be there, and he's not actually going to be there until the following week. So we have something special planned for you guys. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Tune in Monday morning. You're going to dig it. It's going to be an awesome time. Again, Comics with Bueller channel, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time if you want to join us in the morning. Otherwise, catch the replay. It's a great show. Thank you guys for supporting both Everything Comics and Comics with Bueller. We really appreciate all the support, you guys. Thanks a lot. And so that's it. That's all the announcements that I have. I mean, normally I've got a bunch, and today I just don't have very much. But that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and get into the show. And before we get into our reviews, I always start with our cover of the week. And this week's cover of the week is brought to you by TKO Studios. TKO Studios is bringing out a lot of great comics. They are about to release their third wave. If you go to their website now, you should be able to see solicitations for pre-orders for those books. They have a lot of great stuff. They're going to be sending me some review copies so I can kind of let you guys know what's going on there. But if you see something you like over there, when you go to checkout, you just need to use the code EVERYTHING20 and you can get 20% off your first purchase, which is amazing. I mean, 20% off comics. Get a stack of them because they're pretty awesome. But anyway, TKO Studios, they're an amazing sponsor, and this week's cover of the week is a pretty amazing one. So this week's cover of the week comes to us again from Xenoscope Studios. They've been putting out a lot of great covers out there, but they have a new comic called Conspiracy Planet X. Now, this is the first time that I've ever given you two covers for the cover of the week, because for their first cover, they've got two, their A cover and the B cover, which are just fantastic. When I was going through the covers on Bueller's video, because that's what I usually do to pick my cover of the week, is I'll usually go through his video and see all the covers that he posts there. And when I came across these two covers, I was just blown away. And so the first cover is by Leonardo Capoletrio, I think his name is. And I just love the artwork inside of this. It's kind of otherworldly. It's very nuanced. I love the color. And so I mean, it was very striking. And but then you got the B cover, which comes from Igor Vettorino. And look at that. That's just an amazing shot with the earth. And you got this kind of skull, motif around it. And I just thought both of these pictures are so striking from two different artists. What a great, great pair of covers for the first issue of a book. I haven't read anything from Zenescope Studios yet, but week over week, I keep seeing these great covers. And these two, I just couldn't pass up. So there you have it in all its glory. Both A cover and the B cover for Conspiracy Planet X by Zenescope. And I just love these covers. Check it out, guys. All right, let's get into our reviews. And the first book is Warhammer 40,000 Marneus Calgar from Marvel Comics. This is written by Karen Gillan and the art by Jason Burrows. Now, when I heard that they were bringing Warhammer 40,000 to the Marvel Universe, I got really excited. Most of you probably don't know, but I've been a long time Warhammer 40,000 fan, Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000. I played it for years, and I've always loved the Battletop gaming. I don't get to play it very much anymore, but both of my sons play it, and that's kind of one of the cool ways that I'm able to visit with them and that we connect. We, play those games still to this day. And we've been playing a lot of Warcry lately, which is really cool. It's kind of a tailored down version, which I like because you don't have to spend 3 or 4 hours on a single battle. You can just pretty much have one done in 45 minutes, which is really cool. Anyway, I digress. Getting into this comic book, I got really excited because, again, Marvel's bringing Warhammer 40K over to them, and then they attached Karen Gillan as the writer, and I just love his stuff, so I got really excited for this. And so my initial review of this book is I've got some good and I've got some bad. Let's get into the good. So first off, this is a really, really solid read. The story revolves around what the title is, a character named Marneus Calgar, who is the chapter leader of a group of space marines called the Ultramarines. And they are on a planet called Thulius Minor, I think is what it's called. And it just so happens that heretics have started to attack that planet. And heretics are kind of space marines that have gone over to the side of evil, which they call chaos in this universe. And they're tainted. They have chaos marines. And it's one of the forces that the Space Marines go up against, and that's what happens here. And so the kind of twist of the whole story is the fact that this planet, Thulius Minor, is also the planet where the main character kind of went through his rite of initiation when he became a Space Marine years before. So it's kind of fate that he's back on this planet and having to fight off this force. I really enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, it was a solid first read, and I think that anybody who's ever been into 40K will like this story. I love Karen Gillan's writing, but now let's get into the bad. I was really disappointed in this in a certain sense because if you are not a Warhammer 40K fan, I don't know if you would really get into this. I think they made it very difficult to get into this. When I first started reading the story, I could follow it okay, but Karen Gillan, being who he is, he's a great wordsmith. But one of the things about Warhammer 40,000, when you read the material, there's a certain type of language to it. It's kind of like if you were to take, somebody from Gothic times and put them into the future, there'd be a different cadence to the way they talk, and that comes out here. But also at the same time, it kind of makes it kind of hard to follow unless you're used to that. And they just kind of drop you into it and expect you to kind of pick up on it. That's the first thing. Second thing is they start talking about things in the universe that if you are not familiar with 40,000, it makes it very difficult to follow. They're talking about different troop types. They're talking about different creatures. They're talking about different things that go into the 40K universe. And being a longtime Marvel fan, and Marvel has always had a policy for the longest time that, they're looking at this as if this was the very first book you ever read. would you be able to follow it? And I'd have to say that if you didn't know 40K, it'd be very difficult to follow this book. And so that made me really sad, because I would like more people to be exposed to the 40K universe. And I would also like some of people that I know that play 40K and don't read comics, that they would be introduced into the comic for. I think it'd be easier for them. But for my friends that are into comics, I think this would be a very difficult read to pick up on. I liked it. I'll definitely pick up the next issue, but I think Marvel is shooting themselves in the foot by not creating something that anybody can pick up and follow along and get into. So that's my 2 cents on it. Okay, on to our next book, and that is Stealth, number 6 by Image Comics. This one written by Mike Costa, art by Nate Belgrade, and the colors by Tamara Bonneville. So here we are in the final issue, and I absolutely just love this. Mike Costa has told a very compelling story from beginning to end. And I mean, I've gone through and I've reviewed just about every issue on my videos. So if you want to pick up the plot thread, you can go back and watch those. But they really land the plane inside of this issue. I was really surprised because the reveal of how all this has gone on, the history behind the suit and what is really happening blew me away. I wasn't prepared for it. But the way Mike Costa wrote it, I was so compelled. I was glued to every page. Really, really a great finale. I would say that if you haven't been reading this one, definitely pick this one up and trade. It's a great read. The artwork by Nate Belgrade, in the beginning, I kind of dinged it a little bit, but it kept getting better all the way through the series, and I just think it's phenomenal. And then Tamara Bonneville's colors. The thing about Tamara Bonneville, she also is in one of the books I'm reviewing today as well, Once and Future, and her colors are just amazing. And one of the things I'll say about her is that, there are a lot of colorists that try to use certain types of palettes that make it their signature. She doesn't do that. She really uses colors to create mood and flow inside of the book. And when you look at the colors inside of Stealth, they're so much different than the colors that you'll see inside of Once and Future, but no less great. They're amazing. And so every issue that I read that she's colored, it's just a masterclass and what a colorist should be doing. So definitely check that out as well. Anyway, Stealth number 6, great finale to a great series. Again, if you haven't been reading it, definitely pick up that trade paperback, because it's a good one, guys. Okay, so on to our next book, and that is Dark Knight's Death Metal number 4 by DC Comics. This one written by Scott Snyder, and of course art by Greg Capullo. This crossover event just continues to blow my mind and entertain me and just wow me. I have loved every issue so far, and this one is, it's no different. I love this book. At this point, if you haven't been following along, I don't think you'd be able to pick it up and just understand what's going on. It was even tough when they first started the series, because they kind of dropped you off in the future, and that was a problem for some people. But at this point, if you haven't been on the ride, I think you wait until it's over, or go collect the floppies, because I don't think you'd be able to follow along. It's just amazing. There is so much that happens inside of this book. It's kind of hard to recap. You start off with heroes fighting on Earth, our Earth, and then you have the dark side of your nightmares on the Final Crisis Earth. You find out that Superboy Prime is not the ally that you thought he was. You have the Flashes still running for their lives from the darkest night. You have the Robin King showing up, and he's impishly just causing havoc. He actually has the head of Jonah Hex, which was amazing, seen all in itself. And then you have the final page where they finally get to the Mobius chair, and you think it's all going to go their way, and you find out that this may have just given the Darkest Knight everything that he needs to take over the universe. It's bombastic. It's incredible. It was such a fun ride, and everything that's going inside of this crossover event is everything that I love. It's got fan service. It's got complete comedy with giving you levity and wow moments, surprise moments, and I've been loving it every issue that's come out. Dark Knight's Death Metal 4, an amazing read. I can't wait to see what happens next. I think we're like at the halfway point now, and I just love this event. So as you know, I'm in the Thunderdome, and this was my pick of the week, which is kind of hard because, I don't read any of the books. I'm just kind of arbitrarily picking what I think may be the pick of the week. But as you can see, it's not my pick of the week on the books that I read, even though this was a great book. But you're going to have to see what is my pick of the week because I'm pretty excited about it. So let's get there, okay? All right, so our next book is Once and Future number 12 by Boom Studios. This one written by Karen Gillan, art by Dan Mora, and the colors by Tamara Bonnevillain. First of all, let me just say, again, Tamara Bonnevillain is so amazing. She's my favorite colorist, and I think that the stuff that she does in Once and Future is her magnum opus. It is just absolutely gorgeous. I love every page. The colors are just so vibrant, and they're not so vibrant that they're overwhelming. It's just amazing. I love it. And so, you could pick up these books and just look at them and not even read them and enjoy them so much. That's how good it is. So this story that we've been following so far, it kind of wraps up the whole Grendel and Beowulf thread, which I thought was pretty neat. I mean, you have the Arthurian mythos over here, and then you bring in the whole Grendel and Beowulf mythos alongside of it, which I thought was a really neat idea, and that was a lot of fun. And so that kind of wraps this up. And, I know that it's supposed to be the end of the arc, but it doesn't feel like the last time when they ended it, like book 6 last time, kind of felt like a hard stop and then it continued. The story is wrapped up, but it definitely gives you everything that you need to know that it's going forward. So it feels like an ongoing series and not just a bunch of different arcs. And so I kind of like that because I'm definitely excited to see where they go with this next. The last page of the book kind of surprised me. And so I think they got some pretty bombastic stuff coming up. We'll see what happens. But definitely Once and Future is one of the best books by Boom Studios. I've loved this title from the very beginning, and I'll continue to keep getting this as long as they put it out. I think the panel of the week comes from this book, and so I definitely, you'll be able to check that out as well. But again, the last page of this book, where they're going next, is crazy. Definitely keep on this one, guys, because it's going to be a fun ride. All right, so on to our next book, and that is The Devil's Red Bride, number 1 by Vault Comics. This one written by Sebastian Greiner and art by John Bivens. Holy cow, this was a great first issue. It scratched a samurai itch that I didn't even know that I needed scratching. This was Robbie's pick of the week this week from Pop Culture Philosophers. By the way, if you've never been over to Pop Culture Philosophers, it's one of the featured channels on my page. Definitely go check out Robbie. He does the best reviews on YouTube, and I do review books, and I love what I do, but I don't hold a stick to him. Every Tuesday night, his reviews drop. He has no edits. He'll review 40 books just straight and non-spoiler reviews, and he'll give you the skinny on everything that you need to know. He's a great reviewer, friend of the channel. He's my homie. Definitely check him out. Go give him some support and some love. But this was his pick of the week, and with good reason. There is a lot that goes on inside of this book. The artwork by Bivens is so, I loved it. It's kinetic, it's gritty, and it adds to the whole feel of the feudal Japan, especially, me coming from being a longtime samurai movie buff, especially the stuff that gets exploited from the 70s. This had that feel to it, and I absolutely loved it. It was just enough gore. It was just enough like I said, grit, so that you knew that it was from that time frame, and it really added to the mood that you got while you were reading this story. The story revolves around a kind of a Mulan type situation. I'll agree with Robbie on that, but I got a lot of Lady Snowblood vibes from this. I don't know if you guys know that movie. It's a famous samurai movie, one of my favorite. Most of you will probably know that from Kill Bill. When the bride kills Oren Ishii, there's a song that plays. That song is the theme from Lady Snowblood. Anyway, I digress. So the story revolves around a girl from the Origami clan who is on the road to vengeance to restore honor to her clan, which has been decimated years before, and honor to her father. And this was just a great read. We get pieces of where she's at now on that road to vengeance, which was just great. And then we get flashbacks on how she, what happened in the past that shows, what happened with her father and how the clan started to come to the point of, having everything taken from them. And so this really sets up where we're going to go next with this. I am so on board. It's been a long time since I've had a really good samurai book, and this is a really good one. It resonates emotionally. It really gets you into the meat of the story really quickly, and then it just flows along. And so if you haven't picked this one up, definitely do. Again, if you've been following Comics with Bueller, you'll know that the first unofficial cover for Comics with Bueller is on this particular issue. It's the one by Clara Meath. It's an exclusive cover, so you won't be able to just order it at your LCS. But definitely check out. There'll be a link down in the description. If there's still any left, you don't want to miss out on that one. But The Devil's Red Bride #1 is a solid first read, and I would highly suggest it. Get it however you can. It's a good one. Okay, so on to our next book, and that is The Flash #763 by DC Comics. This one written by Kevin Schnick and the art by Clayton Henry. Okay, so this is the first issue of The Flash after Joshua Williamson's run, and I'll just say, I mean, it's an okay read, nothing to write home about, nothing that's gonna wow you. I don't know if this is the creative team that'll be on it going forward, because it really kind of felt like a filler issue. That type of writing, journeyman stuff. So like I said, nothing that's going to wow you, but there are a couple of concepts that were really cool that happened inside of this book. So it's possible that this may be the team. I don't know. Do you guys know? Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you know if this is the actual team, because I couldn't find anything in my short little research I was doing before the show here. But the book centers primarily around the anniversary of Barry's mom's death, and while he's kind of dealing with that, he finds that his flash ring is gone, and he figures out pretty quickly that it's the trickster that's taken it, and so that's kind of where we're at inside of the story. The couple of cool things that they introduce inside of this, there's a team that is introduced that is kind of unique. It's kind of all characters that are dealing with riddles or tricks or pranks and stuff like that. And so you have the trickster, the prankster, the Riddler, Toyman, and Clue Master, which I thought was a great team. But it was kind of like a holographic thing. So I don't know if that's something that they may flesh out later, but I thought that was kind of cool to delve into a team like that. I don't think that's been done before. And then the other cool concept was they got into the ring itself. I don't know if this is part of Flash history. I've never heard of it before, but he's talking about the gold that's going into the ring and why the ring is so special to him. And the gold has been forged from both his mom and dad's wedding rings. That's the gold that is on his flash ring. And so when he loses it, that's why he's really bent on getting it back. And so when that's explained at the end, I thought that was kind of a cool thing. I've never seen that before in the Flash history, so I think it's a new thing. And so those two things kind of make me think that this might be the new creative team. And if so, maybe we'll watch them grow, but the writing did feel journeyman on it, so we'll see what happens on it. Anyway, like I said, it's an okay read. It's nothing to write home about, but definitely already missing Joshua Williamson. So check it out. Let me know what you think about it. Leave a comment down below. Okay, on to our next book, and it is The Red Mother #9. This one also from Boom Studios. Boom Studios had a great week this week. This one's written by Jeremy Hahn and art by Danny Luckert. Well, you cannot say that this book is a slow burn anymore. And I think Robbie even said that he doesn't believe it was ever a slow burn, that it was deceptively slow. I'd kind of agree with that because there's really a lot that's happened since the beginning of this book. But really in the last couple of issues it's ramped up, and it's definitely something that you can tell. And this one kind of like starts you right off the bat. You have our main character Daisy. Her friend is getting attacked by a guy in a ski mask, and Daisy runs in to help her. And I mean, her friend gets pretty much cut and put in the hospital, and that's kind of what the whole story revolves around. We can't find Ian; he's nowhere to be found. Daisy goes to his apartment a couple of times, and looks like his apartment is actually empty at one point. So we'll have to find out what happens there. But the way this has started to unfold, I think by the end of this book, we're starting to get to the place where we're not going to see the prophet anymore. We're going to actually see the Red Mother come out, because there's a whole thing with the eyeball that is going on here, and it's about to blow wide open. So this has been a fun ride from the very beginning. There's just enough intrigue. There's just enough mystery. There's just enough of that creepiness that comes from a good horror story, while at the same time adding some really cool concepts. And I've loved it from the very beginning, and I'll continue to stay on the book, even though at parts, when it felt slow, it was never boring. And so I would say that this is a great read if you wanted to hop on it. I think you can find a couple of good synopsises out there that would allow you to be able to jump in. And but Boom Studios has been killing it. This is one of the titles month over month that I'm just always waiting for. And so issue number 9 is a solid read, and definitely one that I'd recommend to anybody. Okay, so on to our next book, and it's Commanders in Crisis number 1 by Image Comics. This one written by Steve Orlando, and art by David Tinto, I think that's his name. So this is a brand new series by Steve Orlando, and it's a superhero title. Superhero indie titles have kind of become a guilty pleasure for me. It seems like the superhero titles from these indie publishers are taking more chances, which I'm really loving. Case in point, Stealth. Stealth, also from Image Comics, that I just reviewed earlier. How that whole story begins is with a superhero that has dementia, which I thought was a really cool concept. And so here we have Steve Orlando starting another superhero title, and it is also taking some pretty cool chances. So basically the story revolves around, think of there's a multiverse and there's infinite Earths, and all of those Earths have been subject to decay, and they've all kind of been destroyed from this kind of thing that happens in the universe. And the leaders of each of those planets, the presidents, I guess you could say, have all come to this final Earth to make their stand, and they're all the commander-in-chiefs. And they're in crisis because it's a crisis of infinite Earths type thing. And matter of fact, they're called the Crisis Commanders, I think is the name of the team. It's a cool team. I love the whole setup. I think in the very beginning, Dan DiDio gives a foreword to say how hard it is to create a story that's compelling, that gets you into all brand new characters. I would agree. I don't know if I got into the characters. I love the concept of them, which I thought was really cool. I love the concept of the different power sets that they have, and for the fact that it kind of puts you in familiar territory for a Crisis on Infinite Earths type deal. I thought was pretty cool because it's familiar ground, but it's definitely trying to blaze some new territory. I thought it was a solid first read. It's nothing that I got emotionally tied to or behind. I think he's got a little more a character building to do before we get into that, but I'm on board. I really love the concept, and I thought the artwork was solid, and colors are really nice. There's a couple of places where the colorist, you can see, has done a very nice job, and there's other places where the palette is kind of almost muddled a little bit because it's kind of using the same type of tones, and there should be some contrast there. But all in all, it's really good stuff. So definitely check out Commanders in Crisis number 1. It's a solid first read. Okay, so on to our next book, and it is 7 Secrets number 3 by Boom Studios. This one's written by Tom Taylor and art by Danielle Di Nicuolo. Now, I've loved the concept from the very beginning of this book. The first two books, well, I should say the first one kind of sets up the fact that there are 7 secrets, and throughout history there's been a society who has protected those secrets. And we know that the secrets are powerful, even though we don't know what the secrets are. We know that they're so powerful that nations have risen and fallen as a result of them. And so that's kind of the backstory behind it. And then we kind of get through parts of the first book, and then mostly in the second book, the fact that there is a family who is part of the secret society that actually the keepers of the secret. You have usually a protector and a handler team, 2 people. Well, these 2 people fell in love. They ended up having a baby, which was supposed to be a no-no, but they continued on inside of the society protecting the secrets while still trying to parent a child as best they could. And so now we get to the third book, and we find out that that child is now all grown up and has been trained to be a secret handler themselves, and that's kind of where the story revolves around. I thought this was the probably the more solid read of all 3 books. I kind of wish they had started with this one and then kind of started building the backstory up as the story was going along, because I really loved just how much this moved, and I think it would have served the story better to build it as we were going along instead of trying to give it to us all in the beginning, because now we're here in the third book. We still don't know what the 7 secrets are, and I don't feel like we're really getting any closer. We're just focusing on protecting whatever secret is there. And so, but anyway, it's a lot of fun. I love the action that's inside of it. I think the story is compelling. I'm starting to get behind some of the characters that they've started to develop, and this one had a little more emotional resonance, which I really liked. And so I think Tom Taylor's a phenomenal writer. I'm really on board with just about anything that he's doing, and I think this is going to be very special as it builds along. And so I'm going to continue to read this great title. Check it out for yourself. Okay, so now we get to my pick of the week, and this one's pick of the week is We Live #1 by Aftershock. This one written and drawn by the Miranda brothers, and the colors are by Ava De La Cruz. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with the Miranda brothers' work, and so truthfully, I saw the solicit on this a couple of months ago, and I thought the concept sounded cool, so I put it on my pull list. And quite frankly, I didn't even realize it was coming out this week. So it was quite a surprise that it was in my box. And after reading it, holy wowzers, this just knocked my socks off. I just love this book. So first thing, before I actually got into reading the book, they have this great, here's the copy, they have this great fold-out cover, which is trifold. The glare is bad on this, but as you can see, I just thought this was so amazingly well done. It didn't make my cover of the week, but let me get a little closer there so you guys can see that. I just thought that was amazing. What a great fold out, and it really sets the mood for what's inside of this book. So again, not knowing anything about this, you get into it, and the plot revolves around the fact that after years of war and the and climate change, overpopulation, and all these different things, the Earth has finally come to a place where it's just being ripped apart, and we as a human species are facing extinction. And in the midst of this place of extinction, we kind of know that it's the final knell, because there's a message that comes from space that tells us we're not going to survive this. And whoever is sending this message from space is basically saying that we can help. And they send down these 5,000 bracelets, and which are to be given to 5,000 children. Now, those children can have a companion that can go with them, but they're kind of like a ticket to get on these transports that are going to be at these specific spots at a specific time to offload the 5,000 future Earth survivors off of this, or it'll be 10,000 because each of them have a companion. So that's kind of what the plot is in this story. And I got to tell you, I just absolutely loved it. There's an emotional resonance inside of this book that is so well done. And there's places where it's subtle, and then there's places where it's in your face. On the first page, you see there's this great picture of this old man kind of looking out the window. And on these text boxes, there's some wordsmithing going on there that's almost poetic. It's just really, really well done. And then you get to the bottom of that page and there's a QR code. That QR code takes you to a YouTube video that's the soundtrack to this comic book. And while you're watching or listening to the soundtrack, it'll show that page, but it's a motion comic. I love motion comics. I do believe, like some people do, that that's what the future of comics may turn out to be. And so I really enjoyed hearing the soundtrack while watching kind of some motion on that particular picture of that old man looking out the window. And it kind of set the tone for me for the rest of the book. The lyrics are in Spanish, but the lyrics, there's a thing that happens that really is kind of like this optimistic piece in the midst of such sadness, and that's kind of a thing that flows through the book. And then when you get to the end of the book, there's another QR code that gives you a different piece of the soundtrack, and I thought that was just awesome stuff. The way this is put together, it's just very well done. It really surprised the heck out of me. I think hands down it's my pick of the week. I've already read it. Well, I've read it twice so far, and I've already thumbed through it a couple of times, just looking at the artwork, seeing some of the pages that really resonated with me. And I would say this is a very solid read. If this wasn't on your radar, go to your LCS and see if they still have it. We Live #1. It's just really well done, guys, and I unashamedly made it my pick of the week this week. So there you have it, guys. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the reviews. That's pretty much all I got for today. Of course, we always end with our panel of the week, and this week's panel of the week comes from Warhammer 40K, Marnius Calgar. And there is a scene where the chapter commander, Calgar, is on the steps, and he's basically got 2 bolters strapped to his armor, and he's firing down into this sea of heretics that are coming up. And I just love this because it resonated on, there's iconic scenes that happen throughout all of this Warhammer 40K material that you get, and this kind of like it was a throwback to some of those iconic scenes that I remember. And this is what Warhammer 40K is about, is the battle. And I just thought it was a glorious scene. There it is right there. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, I just love this stuff. Okay, so that's the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me for some coffee and talking some comics. Please do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. And look, you guys, I really appreciate all the support that you give me. Have yourselves a great week. Always remember to support your local comic shop, folks. And Excelsior. Y'all take care. Bye.
I'm gonna